I, Dr. Captain Sapna Chawla, Professor of Commerce from Government Mankuvar by Arts and Commerce College, Jabalpur. The topic is on GST, that is Goods and Services Taxes in India in current scenario. Goods and Service Tax is a comprehensive tax levied on manufacture, sale, and consumption of goods and services at a national level. This tax is levied on all transactions involving supply of goods and services except those which are kept out of its purview. GST was introduced by 122nd Constitution Amendment Bill passed in 2014 by central government. Later on, this bill was required to be passed through Rajya Sabha and then Lok Sabha, and finally in the midnight of June 20th, it took its full shape, and this bill of GST got enacted from 1st July 2017 onwards in India. GST in India has been enacted on the theme of One Nation, One Tax, and the man who led this mission was the Union Revenue Secretary of GST, Mr. Hasmukh Adhia, and Mr. Naveen Kumar was the chairperson who headed the mission of GST in India. And no wonder this bill took full 10 years to take its full complete shape. And the government is hoping that a positive change in Indian economy is likely to be seen with its impactment. So GST, if we understand its meaning, it's a very beautiful and a wonderful tax. It's based on consumption of goods and services. If a person spends money on something, he has to pay a part price as GST on it. And if a person doesn't purchase anything, he doesn't have to pay the bill. Only thing is that value addition will be taxed and the burden of the tax is borne by the final consumer. For the students who are Hindi listeners, in Hindi we call this tax as माल एवं सेवा कर, और ये उत्पादन के सभी स्तरों पर इस कर को लगाया जाता है। जब माल का उत्पादन होता है तो उत्पादक से लेके यह माल जितने हाथों से गुजरता है, जिसको हम सप्लाई चेन कहते हैं, हर सप्लाई के प्रत्येक एक चेन पे इस टैक्स को लगाते जाते हैं, और हर दफा इसमें जो पहले व्यक्ति ने टैक्स दिया है वो दूसरे को नहीं देना माइनस हो जाता है, जो दूसरे व्यक्ति ने दिया है वो तीसरे को नहीं देना डिडक्ट हो जाता है। जैसे मैन्युफैक्चरर से ये होलसेलर को जाता है, होलसेलर से ये रिटेलर को जाता है, रिटेलर से ये फाइनल कंज्यूमर को जाता है। इट मीन्स देयर इज अ सप्लाई चेन ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज टैक्सेस starting right from the manufacturer, the good passing on to the distributor, he will pay his part of tax, the goods will go to the wholesaler, wholesaler will pay his part of tax, adding value to it, then it is passing on to the maybe retailer, if there is, may make some more extra price for the goods to be sold, and then finally goods are purchased by the consumer. So the tax burden is ultimately borne by the consumer, that is the final person who purchases the goods or avail the services. So as definition of GST, it's again very clear, it's an indirect tax, which is levied by the government, and it is taxable on both, that is goods also and services also. सेवा कर और माल कर, माल पर भी कर लगाएंगे, सेवा पर भी कर लगाएंगे, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट कर लगाएगी। हाँ, इसका बंटवारा सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट आपस में करेंगे। जीएसटी इज अ मल्टी पॉइंट टैक्स। क्यों मल्टी पॉइंट है? व्हाई इट इज मल्टी पॉइंट? बिकॉज it is imposed at each level of production, and at each level the price of the commodity is increased, which is called value increased, which is passed on in the further chain of supplies, and finally the burden of the tax is borne by the taxpayer, because GST is included in the price of the goods and the services. In broader perspectives, if we go to see, classification in our country has been done on two bases. that is direct tax and indirect tax. We are aware with it. Direct tax is a person which is levied by the government on the individuals and corporations, companies. Individuals are persons who are earning salaries or doing businesses or are involved in small and medium enterprises. They have to pay direct taxes, and incidence and impact, that is the burden of the tax, they cannot shift on anybody. They have to bear the burden. It means they only have to pay the tax. Examples are income tax, corporation tax, and wealth tax. As against this, in indirect tax, this is also levied by the government, but it is levied on one entity or organization, and the burden of the tax is passed to the ultimate consumer by the manufacturer. How? The manufacturer adds a portion of a tax in the price of the goods or services he is providing. That is why the burden and impact of indirect tax falls on the persons, that is the ultimate consumers. Examples are value added tax, GST, excise duty, additional excise duty, customs duty, entertainment allowance. So how these taxes are divided into two broad perspectives, we can see by seeing its objective also. Now, objective of direct tax are they are progressive in nature. It means a person is earning more, must pay more tax. Whereas indirect tax is regressive. A person has to pay the same tax, whether he is rich or whether he is a poor person. In case of rich person, a person who buys luxurious items, expensive cars, expensive residential accommodations, would have to pay more tax. That is why direct taxes are progressive in nature and are called progressive taxation. Whereas indirect taxes, if we forego any good, we are not paying the tax. A rich person earning 10 lakhs would also pay the same price of a scooter, or when a person earning only rupees 3,000, he has to also pay the same amount of tax on the goods or the services he avails. So that is why indirect taxes, that is GST, is called regressive in nature. This slide I like the most because here the clear-cut differences between the center, states and local bodies charging taxes are given. For center, it is income tax, corporation tax, central GST and customs. See, our topic is GST. So GST is charged by the center, it's called center GST. For states, it is state GST. The taxes which are charged by the state within a state are known as state GST. Tax on electricity, that is, we pay taxes, our electricity bills to MP Electricity Board. That is why it is state tax. Excise duty on alcohol. See, state charges excise duty on alcohol. That is why alcohol is not charged under GST till date. The government has still to decide that which tax is suitable for charging alcohol. Similarly, stamp duty, which is required, again, it is charged by the state government. For local bodies that or municipal corporations, it is tax on land and building, bhumi par kar, building par kar, vehicle tax, that is your gaadi ka kar, tolls when you enter any area or leave any area, entertainment tax, that is theater, cinema, beyond a certain limit. Now, a brief and quick look on the features of GST. Goods and service tax had such a big name. It came with such a big loud voice that GST is making things very complex. GST is making things expensive. Is it so? I don't think so. When we just have a look at its characteristics and features, it will pose a different picture altogether. If we go to salient features of GST, it says it is levied on goods and services. It means all the manufacturers producing or manufacturing any goods, selling them or supplying them for the purpose of consumption and sale are supposed to pay GST, provided if they come under GST net. If their sale increases up to a certain limit, I'll be coming to that point also in my later slides. But for now, they have to pay tax only if their profits or their turnovers exceed a certain limit. All transfers come under GST net. Here, sale is not compulsory. Any transfers of goods from one branch to another, from one place to another, has to come under GST net. Scope of the tax, very clear. It's a federal tax collected by both central government, state government. It's a uniform tax applicable to whole country. It started with effect from 1st July 2019, even including Jammu and Kashmir. It started little late from 8th July 2017 onwards. And even to your surprise, we also charge GST tax for going deep into the sea, that is up to 200 nautical miles sea deep. All things are covered under GST. It's an indirect tax. How? Because the burden and incidence and impact of the tax is shifted from the manufacturer to the final consumer, because manufacturer will try to claim or recover his expenses through taxes from the ultimate consumers. So the last purchaser bears the brunt of the tax. No doubt the manufacturer fills up the returns and pays the tax, but inside, the tax is shifted and collected from consumers. GST falls in dual category of tax. Taxes are charged two ways. That is, any manufacture, sale, consumption within the state. I'm saying within the state, like sale within Madhya Pradesh, sale within Rajasthan, sale within UP is known as intrastate sale, intrastate supply of goods. And sale crossing the boundaries of the state, for example, sale from Madhya Pradesh to Rajasthan, sale from Rajasthan to Bihar, is known as interstate supply or interstate sale. And on this, integrated GST is charged. So that is why GST falls as a dual category of tax in India. Uniform GST law, the rates of GST are uniform all over the India. You cannot charge different rates for different prices. This is the beauty of the tax, that its rates are flat and fixed for most of the commodities, almost most of the commodities which have been covered under GST net. Now, this provision is very feasible for the small and medium entrepreneurs, because now they are able to easily carry their businesses in more than one state. जीएसटी का जो नियम है ये संपूर्ण भारत में एक प्रकार से लगाया जाता है। इसकी दी हुई दरें सभी राज्यों में एक से ही लगानी पड़ती है, और इसकी खूबसूरती इसी बात में निहित है कि जो व्यक्ति एक से अधिक जगहों पे या राज्यों पर व्यवसाय करना चाहता है, वो ही नियम कानून के तहत बहुत बड़े आराम से अपना व्यवसाय कर सकता है, क्योंकि सभी जगह संपूर्ण भारत में इसके नियम एक से है। As far as administrative setup is concerned, the Excise Department has been authorized to impose and collect central tax, which is known as CGST, and state authorities collect state tax, that is SGST. Actually, revenue is required by state and center, both the governments. So both the governments share the tax of GST equally between themselves, so that they are able to carry on their developmental works. And if there is any fight, if there is any query, there is GST Council, that is Goods and Service Council, established in India. And this is the apex constitutional body in India, known as GST Council, which determines all the policy matters related with GST and even sort out issues if they occur. Next, in the list of salient features of GST, we have reverse charge. Now, this is completely different scenario, different aspect of GST. Here, the goods and service providers have to pay the tax, not the supplier. I will repeat. Here, the goods supplier and the service providers have to pay the tax. For example, how people being absorbed in businesses dealing with some selected goods such as cashew nuts with shell, that is with their cover, BD makers, BD wrappers, dealing in tobacco leaves business, silk yarn business, and similarly, persons offering services of advocate, insurance agents, transport agency, they will pay back GST to the government. So the GST is reverting back from the recipient of goods and services. That is why it is called reverse charge GST payable by recipient. And for students, I would like to mention over here, those who are listening and watching this webinar, my slides are a bit loaded with matter so that you can take photographs and clicks of it. You can always refer it because it is one of the important numerical paper in BCom final year. That is final year, third year. So they can always take images and pictures of whatever matter they are finding useful for themselves. Now, GST is classified into three broad groups. SGST, that is State Goods and Services Tax, CGST, that is Center Goods and Service Tax, IGST, that is Integrated Goods and Service Tax. Now, by now, I think it is quite clear the taxes charged by the state government comes under SGST. The taxes charged by the central government comes under CGST. And the taxes which are charged from one state to another is known as integrated GST, that is Integrated Goods and Service Tax, controlled by central government. IGST, it is controlled and collected both by the central government. Now, this is a very useful table and it makes absolutely clear that what is the type of GST, what is the authority which is benefited by it, what is the priority of credit use, who collects the tax, and what are the transactions involved in it. If I take the first case, that is CGST, Central Goods and Service Tax, the authority which gets benefited out of it is central government. The central government gets the revenue. Priority is CGST and IGST because if the boundaries are crossed between two states, it automatically becomes IGST. This tax, the revenue is collected by the central government and the transactions are within a single state, that is intrastate. Any transactions of supply of goods and services within the boundaries of the state is known as intrastate. And if it is governed and administered tax by center, it is called CGST. Similarly, going to the next, SGST, state government is the government which collects the benefit and is benefited out of it. If transactions are done within the state, it is intrastate. If transactions cross the boundaries, then it becomes IGST. Similar is the case with IGST. IGST is governed by both central government and state government, and it could become CGST at one point of time, SGST at another point of time, and IGST at still another point of time. Here the business is done not only between two states, but also between a union territory. Union territories, we know there are 5 union territories which come under GST net. Last is UTGST, that is Union Territory Government. Priority of tax credit is Union Territory GST. Union government collects it for the development of its union territory, like Chandigarh we have, Daman and Diu, Nagar and Dadar Haveli. These are union territories, and over there, tax is same, only the name has changed due to their union territory regime. Transactions done within the 4 walls of union territory is known as UT, and tax charges Union Territory Goods and Service Tax. Taxes under GST, here we are showing the movement, how taxes under GST moves. We have intrastate movement, we have interstate movement. Intrastate, I am repeating, any movement of supply of goods and services within the state, अपनी ही राज्य की सीमा में किसी भी माल या सेवा का जो भी सप्लाई होता है, उस पर 2 कर लगते हैं, सेंट्रल जीएसटी जो केंद्रीय जीएसटी और राज्य जीएसटी जो स्टेट लगाता है। और इंटर स्टेट मूवमेंट हो सकती है, एक व्यक्ति के 1 से 2 स्थान पर भी बिजनेसेस हो सकते हैं। वो एमपी में भी बिजनेस कर सकता है, उसकी कोई ब्रांच यूपी में भी हो सकती है। तो इस तरह से जब सप्लाई एमपी से यूपी जाती है उसे इंटर स्टेट मूवमेंट कहते हैं, और उस पर लगने वाला कर हमें इंटीग्रेटेड जीएसटी या आईजीएसटी कहलाता है। वन ऑफ द मोस्ट salient features of goods and service tax is it's a multi-point tax. ये शुरू में भी बताया है. In this slide, you have been shown 4 stages, and in the coming slides, you will be shown a calculation of how GST is calculated when the goods move from first stage to second stage, from second stage to third stage, and from third stage to fourth stage finally. First stage पहली जो इसका स्तर है कि गुड्स कहाँ से निकल के आते हैं, कौन बनाता है, प्रोड्यूसर, उत्पादक। प्रोड्यूसर प्रोड्यूस करता है और आगे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को दे देता है। सेकेंड स्टेज पे क्या होगा, इसी सेम गुड्स, जैसे वॉशिंग मशीन का मैंने उदाहरण लिया है कि एक उत्पादक वॉशिंग मशीन बनाता है और वो उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को इनवॉइस प्राइस मतलब बिल प्राइस पे और अपने प्रॉफिट पे बेचता है। ठीक है, अब सेकंड हमारा डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर है, ये रीसप्लाई करेगा, ये गुड्स को अपने पास रखने के लिए नहीं रख रहा, खरीद रहा, ये आगे बेचेगा। दैट इज रीसप्लाई बाय डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर टू होलसेलर ऑन वैल्यू एडिशन। ये पहले वाले गुड्स की, वॉशिंग मशीन की कीमत बढ़ा के आगे रीसप्लाई कर देगा होलसेलर को। थर्ड स्टेज में होलसेलर अपनी खरीदी हुई वॉशिंग मशीन पर और दाम बढ़ाएगा, टैक्स लगाएगा और आगे भेज देगा रिटेलर को। रिटेलर भी अपने पास रखने के लिए वॉशिंग मशीन नहीं खरीदेगा, ये अपने गुड्स की कीमत में वृद्धि करेगा और आगे इसको बेचने के लिए तैयार रखेगा फाइनल कंज्यूमर या कस्टमर पर, और उससे जीएसटी वसूलेगा। अब ये पीछे जो 3 चेन गई हुई है, प्रोड्यूसर की, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर की, होलसेलर की, इन्होंने जो टैक्सेस दे चुके हैं वो फाइनली रिटेलर नहीं देगा, ये माइनस कर दिया जाता है। ये आगे की स्लाइड में आपको बड़ा अच्छा समझ में आएगा। Whatever taxes are paid by the producer will not be paid by the distributor again. Whatever taxes are paid by the distributor would not be paid by the wholesaler again. And whatever taxes, GST taxes are paid by wholesaler will not be completely paid by the retailer, because there should not be overlapping of tax. टैक्सेस को हमें 2 बार नहीं चार्ज करना, 2 लोगों से चार्ज नहीं करना। एक भाग जो पहले हिस्से पे दिया जा चुका है वो डिडक्ट कर लिया जाता है, दूसरे हिस्से पे फिर दाम बढ़ता है, पहले हिस्से का टैक्स पे है वो माइनस कर लिया जाता है। ये आपको आगे जो एग्जाम्पल है, स्पेशली द स्टूडेंट्स हु आर वॉचिंग, they can make good use of this, because here I will be explaining how input credit arises out of GST payment. It's a very beautiful example. It is showing, I have taken the example of LG company. सब लोग LG के products use करते हैं, LG का माइक्रोवेव ओवन, LG का फ्रिज, LG के बहुत लाइफ इज गुड इसका फुल फॉर्म। LG इलेक्ट्रिकल्स लिमिटेड मैन्युफैक्चर कर रही है वॉशिंग मशीन्स। वॉशिंग मशीन्स इट्स सप्लाइंग टू द डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर का नाम है जवाहर इलेक्ट्रिकल्स, at the rate of rupees 20,000 per washing machine and charges GST 18%. Now, if you calculate 18% on 20,000, you get rupees 3,600. This 3,600 is GST paid, which is to be paid by Jawahar Electricals. Now, जवाहर इलेक्ट्रिकल्स तो आगे फॉरवर्ड कर देगा वॉशिंग मशीन राजकुमार इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स को। राजकुमार इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स उसकी कीमत बढ़ाएगा, 20,000 से मशीन को कर देगा 25,000 एट द रेट ऑफ 18% जीएसटी जो आएगा 4,500। नाउ क्वेश्चन कम्स कि दिस डीलर राजकुमार, how much tax he should pay to the government? How much tax this dealer should pay to the government? Because in the first stage, rupees 3,600 has been paid by Jawahar Electricals. How much now the actual Rajkumar electronics wholesaler should pay? He would pay the tax of rupees 900. How? 4500 minus 3600 comes to 900 rupees. Rajkumar Electronics further supplies this washing machine to a customer at a price higher, that is from 25,000 to 30,000, and charges GST 18%. देखिए तीनों जगह एक ही रेट चल रहा है, 18%. This comes to rupees 5,400. Will Rajkumar Electronics, who is supplying the washing machine, pay the same amount? No. Previous GST paid by the previous supply chain, in the supply chain, would be deducted. That is, from 5,400, 4,500 rupees be deducted, and only 900 rupees would be paid as tax instead of 5,400. This is called how GST works from one level to another. All the taxes paid by earlier persons in the supply chain are deducted so that no single person pays twice the tax on one good. Further slide would make you all the more clear. See, here I am clearly showing the manufacturer selling the machine at the rate of 20,000, charging GST 18%, coming to rupees 3,600, giving it to distributor. Distributor is forwarding it to retailer, second dealer, increasing the price of machine from 20,000 to 25,000. This is called value addition. Rupees 25,000, that is 5,000 has been increased, is known as value addition in the goods. हम बार बार पढ़ते हैं मूल्य में वृद्धि. It is this वृद्धि, it is this increase which we talk about all the time when we do our calculations on goods and service tax. Now on 25,000, 18% is coming to 4,500, but actually the retailer is going to pay 4,500, his share minus 3,600 paid by the first dealer, that is 900. In government's revenue box, only 900 rupees would be paid. Now this retailer is further doing the business and selling washing machine to the customer with little hike in the price of the washing machine. From 25,000, it increases to rupees 30,000 and charges 18% GST because this is the rate given by the government. Cannot change the rate. It's fixed for all. Now on 30,000, we work out 18%, it comes to 5,400. 4,500 has been paid by the second dealer. We deduct this from 5,400 and it comes to rupees 900. So actual GST or the total GST paid into government's revenue box is coming to 3,600 rupees plus rupees 900 plus rupees 900 equals to 5,400 rupees. Now, if you compare with indirect tax before GST was launched, it would have been the reverse case. It would have been 3,600 plus 4,500 plus 5,400, which comes to 13,500. Now you only decide, with the coming of GST in our country, taxes have reduced or increased. This table is giving the correct picture. Whatever amount is paid less or is deducted is known as input credit. This is very important word as far as GST is concerned, and most of the students often get confused. Where is input credit? It is not seen, it is not shown, but yes, it does exist in the calculations. All the taxes paid by prior persons in the supply chain of goods and services are deducted and paid by them, so that the final consumer just pays the tax on the value addition. All the savings done in the supply chain by the different persons is known as input credit. Now this is again a very important slide, GST rate classification. These rates are, if you go to see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different rates. applicable on 7 different types of goods, services, easy to remember also. And most importantly, the best part is there is 0% GST on essential food items and medicines. Some of the examples I've taken, like newspaper, education services, residential accommodations. It's just there's no GST. All the food, all the things which you consume daily in your daily life, your unpacked cheese, your mutton, your fish, you can enjoy all types of your groceries, but they should not be branded, they should not be packed. There's no GST. You can buy to any length, you can buy to any extent without paying GST, provided they are not sold through showrooms. If the vegetables are sold through Reliance showroom, then I cannot say. It has to be collected from vendors where they are not branded under some brand's name. Only 2.5% GST rates on diamonds and diamond cuttings. It's a way of giving encouragement for the workers in the field of diamond mining and diamond cutting and precious stones. 3% on gold and silver jewelry. Whatever price of jewelry you buy, you have to pay extra 3% as your goods and service rates tax. 5% on common use items, sweets, restaurants. You go and you have your dinner, you have your lunch, you have your outing. Tour operator services, if you avail, you have to pay 5%. 12% on frozen meat. Why? Because it is packed, it is tinned. Any food item, if it is packed and tinned, it will surely bear the brand's name, date of expiry, and so many other formalities. Anything which is sold in packets and has brand name, the rate of GST is 12%. If these are sold unpacked without any brand's name in ordinary packets, it is 0%. 18% is the standard rate for goods and services. For all those goods and services which are not falling in the above 4 categories, it's flat rate of 18%. And the maximum GST rate is on luxurious items such as expensive cars, expensive motor vehicles, expensive goods, expensive ACs which we buy. It is 28%. There are certain items which do not fall under the purview of GST, and taxes are charged. Some other taxes are charged, but not GST. One is the basic custom duty on import of goods into India, petroleum products. It includes petrol, diesel. This is ATF, aviation turbine fuel, natural gas, crude oil, alcohol. I told you early in one of my earlier slides, if alcohol is not brought under GST net, it is taxed under some other state tax. It's not tax free, but it is not under GST. Stamp duty and real estate, these are also not covered under GST. These are the indirect taxes which were earlier in use. Now these have been taken over by GST. It includes both state tax and central taxes like VAT, sales tax, entertainment tax, luxury. All these have become GST tax. Similarly, excise duty, additional excise duty, additional custom duty, service tax, all have gone now. All gone and formed one tax, that is goods and service tax. One question students usually get confused into, when we say that it is GST is one nation, one tax, why do we split it into SGST, CGST, and IGST? The answer to this query is that ours is a federal government where central and state government and also local government works all together. All these governments require revenue for development purposes. So that is why GST is shared by the state government and the central government equally. 50% of the tax revenue goes to state government, 50% of it goes to the central government. That is why it has been splitted, but although it is one tax as goods and service tax. Exemption from registration. Now there are a number of people doing businesses. Small and medium enterprises, again doing businesses, they are exempted from registration of GST provided their business is up to 40 lakhs rupees in a financial year and services up to 20 lakhs rupees in one financial year, and places which are at hilly areas, the exemption limit is further given down that if their business is less than 20 lakhs rupees and services of 10 lakhs rupees, they are not required to get themselves registered under GST because they are not required to pay GST tax. Persons who are dealing with fresh fruits, milk, honey, cheese, mutton, fish, vegetables, agriculture products, again need no registration under GST. They can do their business very comfortably in India. Persons making activities such as dealing with funeral related items and services, petroleum products, again not covered under GST, and persons doing reverse time thing, GST, dealing with goods, such some selected goods such as cashew nuts, with cells, tobacco leaves, BD makers, they are also exempted from getting registration under GST. GST exemptions for goods. These are the special categories of goods. Sometimes in some places, the GST council, which is an apex body for all policy matters of taxing in states and in different places, may decide, considering certain conditions, whether a particular service or whether a particular supply of goods should be taxed or should not be taxed. These decisions are divided into two parts depending upon absolute exemption and conditional exemption. Sometimes for the sale or supply of goods, no tax is charged, comes under absolute exemption, and sometimes certain relaxation is given provided it is all covered by the circulars and notifications issued by the GST Council. So this issue is applicable in certain cases only. These are the most common goods which you would love to see. You have to pay no GST on it. You can enjoy it in your meals, in your daily routine life. I'll go by it very quickly. I'm not going to waste time on it. I'll read it out quickly for you. It's live animals, meat, fish, any natural products for live animals, people dealing with animals business, that is rearing of sheep, goatry, poultry, no tax for them. Then natural products, collection of honey, fresh fruits, cheese, eggs. Then all the items arising out of live trees and plants, roots, flowers, foliage, vegetables, fresh vegetables, fruits, eat any amount of bananas, grapes, apples, it's GST tax free. So people were carrying very wrong notion that due to GST, the thing costs have increased. It has increased, but not on all the products. Dry fruits, even some of them, if sold without any, brand and all, does not come under GST net. ग्रेन्स, व्हीट, राइस, ओट्स, बाले, ऑल जीएसटी टैक्स फ्री. आटा, कितने भी प्रकार का आप आटा खाओ, आप गेहूं का, बाजरे का, जवार का, कुट्टू का, आप कोई भी आटा खाइए, उस पर जीएसटी लगने नहीं वाला. इतने प्रकार की सीड्स हैं, शक्कर है, पानी, मिनरल वाटर है, कोकोनट वाटर, बेक्ड फूड्स, ब्रेड, पिज्जा, पफ्ड राइस, फॉसल फ्यूल में इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी, ड्रग्स और फार्मास्यूटिकल्स में ह्यूमन ब्लड जहां ब्लड बैंक्स में मिलता है, कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव्स, इस पर भी टैक्स नहीं लगता. ब्यूटी प्रोडक्ट्स में हाँ, जो ब्रांडेड ब्यूटी प्रोडक्ट्स हैं उस पे लगता है. ये सब लोग इसमें खुश मत हो जाइए. इसमें बिंदी, काजल, कुमकुम जो लोकल लेवल पे जो गांव के मेले लगते हैं और उसमें सेल में आती है, दैट इज टैक्स फ्री, उस बिजनेस को एनकरेज करने के लिए. बाकी जो आप लेडीज यूज करती हैं लैक्मे और दूसरे ब्रांड्स को, नो, इट इज चार्जेबल टू टैक्स बिकॉज इट इज बेयरिंग द ब्रांड नेम. फिर एनी पर्सन डीलिंग विथ म्यूनिसिपल वेस्ट, ऑर्नामेंट्स में प्लास्टिक और कांच की चूड़ियां, ग्लास बैंगल्स, दे आर टैक्स फ्री. न्यूज प्रिंट में जुडिशियल स्टैम्प पेपर, इनवेलप्स, रुपी नोट्स, दे आर जस्ट जीएसटी फ्री. प्रिंटेड आइटम्स, न्यूज़पेपर्स, मैप्स, प्रिंटेड बुक्स, फैब्रिक्स में रॉ सिल्क इज टैक्स फ्री, सिल्क फ्रॉम कोकून बेयरिंग इज टैक्स फ्री, खादी इज टैक्स फ्री, हैंड टूल्स में जो कृषि उपकरण यूज करते हैं, फावड़ा है, गैती है, छेनी है, हथौड़ा है, स्पेड, हैमर, ये टैक्स फ्री है। पॉटरी में जो मिट्टी के बर्तन बनाते हैं जिसमें हम ठंडा पानी करके पीते हैं, अर्दन पॉट्स, क्ले लैम्प्स, ये जो डेकोरेटिव पीसेस भी बनते हैं, इन पर भी गवर्नमेंट ने जीएसटी नहीं लगाया। इसी प्रकार जैसे गुड्स में नहीं लगाया, सेम देयर आर सर्टेन सर्विसेज, they are being defined under section 2 and subsection 78 कि certain services which bear 0% GST should be exempted from GST tax. That is 0% एक और जगह पे follow होती है. Government has determined certain special economic zones, उनको SEZs बोलते हैं. Their government can take decision that certain items should not be taxed, should not be taxed, reduced tax should be imposed. It all depends upon the apex body which it takes decision. So certain services as notified by the GST Council are exempted from services. Number of services which are simply exempted from GST, the first and foremost being agriculture service. So all the government services, transportation services, judicial services, educational services, transportation of faculty or students, if bus is provided by the college, no GST is going to be charged. On midday meals, no GST is going to be charged. Organizational services, services offered by exhibitions, organizers, and other services which are notified from time to time are exempted from GST. One question students usually get confused into: who is the taxable person under GST? The word person has many impositions. Person includes any individual who's doing business up to beyond 40 lakhs in a financial year, and services beyond 20 lakhs in a financial year is liable to get registered himself or herself for GST. Person includes individuals, Hindu undivided family, companies, firms, limited liability partnerships, and association of persons, body of individuals, any corporation, कोई भी निगम, सरकारी संस्था, government body corporate, incorporated under laws of foreign country, cooperative society, सहकारी समिति, local authority, government, trust, artificial judicial person. तो कहने के लिए एक पर्सन शब्द है, पर उसके इम्प्लीमेंटेशंस देखिए, इतने सारे लोग अपने आप को अगर बिजनेस करते हैं, सर्विस प्रोवाइड करते हैं, तो जीएसटी में रजिस्ट्रेशन करा सकते हैं। ये मैंने बता चुका है आपको कि एक जिनके बिजनेस 40 लाख रुपीस से कम है, सर्विसेज 20 लाख रुपीस से कम है, उनको रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं कराना है। और जिनके बिजनेसेस 40 लाख से ऊपर है उनको कराना है। नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न हिली एरियाज के लिए तो ये लिमिट और कम कर दी, ओनली 20 lakhs, और नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न में वो पूरी आते हैं आपकी, नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न में सिक्किम, मणिपुर, मिजोरम, ये सारी जो अरुणाचल प्रदेश, हिमाचल प्रदेश, ये नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न के जितने भी रीजन्स हैं, जितने स्टेट्स हैं, उनके टर्नओवर 20 lakhs पर अबव होने पर उनको अपना रजिस्ट्रेशन कराना पड़ता है और जीएसटी देना पड़ता है। और अभी गेटिंग इनटू द प्रेजेंट थिंग, प्लेस persons doing online information business or dealing with database access must pay GST himself registered. Agents of insurance person also have to get registered for GST. This is another very important composition scheme initiated by the government of India. Small, very small businesses whose turnover is up to 1.5 crore in a financial year has to pay very nominal rate of GST, that is 1%. This chart will show, and anybody who is dealing with restaurant business has to pay 5% on as service tax, and on others it is 6%. This slide is making it very clear. This is called composition dealer paying composition GST of 1% only, because sales are up to 1.5 crores only in a financial year. And service providers only 5%, provided that restaurant is not a bar, another 6%. For advantages, I will say it's one nation, one tax, concluding and subsuming all indirect taxes, bringing tax as one tax for the entire nation, and it is very making the cost of products economic, and even dissolving the cascading effect, no duplication of payment of tax. One person has to pay tax on one thing once only. Companies with a turnover of rupees 75 lakhs under GST taxation process can benefit from composition scheme by paying only 1% tax on their turnover. But then they will not get input credit benefit. If they are taking benefit over here, then input credit benefit they will not be taking in. This tax is now being very transparent, bringing many people into GST net. Much of the corruption has been resolved due to it. It's more accountable, and many unorganized sectors like textile industry is now become organized sector due to GST implication. Yes, the other side of the coin is also there. GST tax and its implication posed certain difficulties, and yet the government has not overcome with those difficulties. First of all, we need to have an increased cost of software purchase. This makes GST and its implication very expensive. GST filing process needs good infrastructure, internet access, internet connectivity all the time, which is not possible in a country like ours, India. And businesses which have installed softwares, their cost of filing returns have gone up because e-way of filing GST returns is promoted by the government, and not every small and medium tech business taxpayer is e-friendly or has the knowledge of filing e-way form of submitting their taxes. And to resolve this problem, government developed certain softwares which can be applied or installed in remote areas of our country. But then those softwares vary so much so in their designs, in their contents, that GST form content do not match with the content of the software. So the CAs, the tax authorities, the income tax departments are facing lot of problems due to variety of softwares available in the country, and some of the products which were taxed at the rate of 15% earlier, now their rates have been increased to 18%. So there's a certain unhappiness for those people who are dealing with tax rates from 15% to 18%. And some of them have named GST as disability tax as well, because things like wheelchairs, braille paper, hearing aids, these were also now taxed under GST. And one more thing they say, it is one nation, one tax, but on the contrary, petrol and petroleum products are not covered under GST net. So the very idea of uniform tax and one tax does not meet over here. Impact of GST and GD impact on GST has, it was quite okay. It increased to from 6.3% to 5.1%, and then it reduced to 4.7% due to COVID-19 effect. It has gone down, which has never been done earlier. We had good report of tax collection from GST, but as of now, it is not good because of the lockdown. Now, one slide I'm going to show the impact of GST during lockdown on small and medium enterprises and fast-moving consumer goods. Let me tell you that fast-moving consumer goods are the goods which the companies deal from day to day, required for day-to-day businesses, such as we need daily, the toiletries, beauty products, packs. These comes under fast moving consumer goods, and big companies like Hindustan Unilever company, ITC company, they are Godrej company, they are dealing with fast moving consumer goods. Their reaction of COVID-19 was just the opposite. This I want to highlight. They saw boom in their demand because people started thinking that due to lockdown, things would be in a negative way, flow of things would be restricted. Suddenly they started, hoarding the things in multiples. They started collecting and keeping the things in big number. So suddenly there was influx of demand. The demand grew very high for daily needs of goods, and fast moving consumer goods companies face. At the same time, they were running out of their inventory due to lockdown. And moreover, the workforce had also walked down from there, migrated from urban areas to rural areas. Now they had no workforce also to meet the increased demand. So COVID-19 has posed a complete disruption in the supply chain. In spite of having heavy demand for consumer goods, companies could not meet it, and now they are in the doldrums, because now they have to supply their own people. They have to follow the reverse system of production. They have to send their own vehicles, own trucks to the place of distribution, collect things from there and bring back. They are even hiring labor at a very high price. Earlier it was 250 rupees per day for them. Now it has gone up to 400 and 500 rupees per day, but still the demand has been not met. So these are the challenges which the government and the taxation department has to face today. In today's scenario, they have to catch up with the compliance date, because GST bill is e-bill and it is filed 4 times quarterly in a year. Now, due to 3 months of lockdown starting from March 2020 up till June 2020, all the work has been pending. Government has waived off taxes, penalties, late fees for small businesses, but then for big businesses, it has charged a slight nominal rate of interest, that is 9%. Government has to set forth its machinery for filing of returns, say 3 months back. They have to update the books of accounts of all the taxpayers, which is very cumbersome job. They have to deal with the pending cases of filing returns, refund of tax, charging of tax, interest. No fund is coming in government's treasury to carry on the developmental work or to bring employment to normalcy, to bring economy to normalcy. These are the hurdles faced by the businesses who follow old and traditional method of filing return. Not all businesses have developed internet access for filing e-way billing under GST. They are doing with the help of a computer or a laptop with the softwares, which is very time consuming, feeding of data of each taxpayer manually, then requiring working space, need of air condition, multiple softwares is making cost effective and the work of CAs and tax department very difficult. Yes, some relief from government and a finance minister has come. No penalty, late fees and interest is charged from the taxpayers. It's been waived off, but they have to pay GST up to 30th June. The last date is 30th June. For late payers, there's no penalty, no interest charge. This is really heartening to see that government is looking after the interest of small businesses by extending their return filings. And in the end, I would like to conclude by saying, without employers, there are no employees. Without employers, there are no employees. But without formal employers, there are few well-paid employees. Our country needs to be organized on sound footing so that the economy, which has been derailed, comes back to its rail. Data shows that 47 lakh plus new formal enterprises were registered with the onset of GST in India, as against only 64 lakhs medium and small scale enterprises were registered back to back some 70 years ago. So it's, mirror image of GST coming up in India. It is working very well. Government has to set this on more sound footing. Much is achieved, but much more yet remains to be achieved. Undoubtedly in India, Poverty can be alleviated by providing and creating jobs through small and medium scale enterprises and not by providing subsidies, charities, and donations. Thank you so much and Jai Hind.